Hi. So what did you say, Ellie? You're gonna go do that?
Go with flow.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So what should we start with today?
One of the things that you often say, and I've, heard it before in other areas and by other therapists and stuff, is that rather than trying to label people as that there's something wrong with them, it's understanding that how they're behaving isn't abnormal, it's normal to the abnormal that they've experienced.
So we say that it's a normal reaction to an abnormal situation.
It took me a long time to understand what that meant, and being treated by the medical profession first with very medically based models that they use that weren't even considered. So therapy was an eye-opener when it didn't want to discuss labels, but was saying what I was behaving was normal. I just wondered if you could just like expand on that.
Well, if you think about how people don't feel normal, so when they don't feel I'm reacting, I have this reaction, and then what happens then is to that reaction. So let me give you an example of many years ago. I wouldn't say it's that long ago, really, but some people might think it's many years ago. When people had depression, because she couldn't see depression, then that gave you an indication that the medical model is based on a physical body, but there's more to us than a physical body. So we have an emotional body, we have an electrical body, we have a spiritual, which we're spiritual. We have all of these. We have, we have all of these things that we don't talk about. We have meridian lines and all those things that we don't talk about in the West. So we're just interested in your physical body. So because everybody, well, I can't see it, but you can't see love, you believe in that. You can't see hate, you believe in that. And so it's like, why do we were taught just to believe in what you see. So if I believe in what I'm seeing, therefore I can write it down on a piece of paper and say, I saw so many people doing that and I saw that, and then that for it's a fact, and then that becomes a science, where science says that's fact. But it can't be, because you don't see, when people say I only see what I believe with my own eyes, it's like, no, you don't. You believe what you're told. Because then how many times have you been told that, oh, you want to be careful with her, she's awful, her. You know what I mean? She's awful to everybody. And then what you're going to do before you meet that person that's just told you that about somebody? You're going to watch out for it. So you believe in what that person's told you. Like on the other video when it said about the man who pulled his pants down, that took the contents of his pants with his hands and it washed them and he went like this. You're going to go like that. Yeah, because you're going to believe what they put the veil up to what the reality is. And so you're going to believe what somebody tells you. So how do you know it's true then? How do you know it's fact? So there are some things that I've observed about you that you believe's true, that you have a veil up to things, and that's the way what people might think of you. Or on a lot of the videos, you always say anorexia nervosa. When I had anorexia nervosa, you say that on a lot of the videos, and that means something to you, so you keep it. Does it mean that it's, whatever you believe's true? Well, you believe it, and so it's what you see. So when we say, "Oh, I only see what I believe," I believe what I see. It's like, not in all instances you don't. You believe what you're told to see. So people believed in racism and about different colour skins. So years ago, when you look at the photographs of slavery, they believe that, well, Caucasians are more intelligent and you're more, brawn. We've got the brains and you've got the brawn because you're, no, it's because you eat healthy food and we do. Do you see what I mean? So then things are told, and such as, like I might say before, that or in the witch doctors and the this and the do that and put needles in people and all the rest of it, and then do films about putting needles in people and doing all that. It's like, no, they didn't. They put needles in dolls because they were showing the children acupuncture. But it was just a different story. So do you believe what's true? No, I believe what you told me. And that's what I'm going to see. So when I see that, and I see somebody putting a doll, I already have a backstory. So now I believe, what you're saying. I believe that we're more intelligent. Well, how come there were lots of inventors that, if you're intelligent, slave inventors, that you stole the ideas and wouldn't let them have it and took it as your own? But people don't look at themselves and say, what do I believe about myself then? What am I hiding behind in there, in that, using that language? Am I hiding that, well, I'm this intelligent person because I'm a thief? In that where it's born from, thieving and slaving and murdering, but I'm going to call you the murderer as I'm murdering. Do you see what I mean? So we believe what we're told. So that's why you can put a uniform on and you or a costume, a made up costume, and you're not a murderer. You should be proud of me because I'm defending the country. No, you're defending people wanting to steal something and take something for themselves. And that's why they do that. But you don't want that story. You have a story behind it that you believe. So, you're a murderer. If you killed somebody, you're a murderer. But if you have another backstory and believe what you see, I believe that you're a murderer because you don't have a made-up costume on. And so, and that's where it is. So I can praise this person and bow down to them and say they're wonderful and, they've got these labels. And so you don't believe what you see, you believe what you're told. And so anyway, back to yours in the anorexia nervosa. Why do you use that? What's the story behind keeping that? What does it protect you from? As that many stories protect people from themselves, what does that protect you from your belief?
I think it took me a long time to take on and accept that label and that diagnosis I got. Even while I was being treated by the eating disorder service and in and out of hospital, and had been in the system for several years, I still didn't accept that I had a medical problem, a medical illness, even though I was treated by those services. I just thought I was stupid.
Why did you think you were stupid?
Because I've always been stupid, and I always think that like I overreact, or I'm being dramatic, or that I'm not able to deal with things. Or
who taught you that? Who taught that you're stupid or you're overreacting or you're dramatic?
That's just how things were in my house. I was the overdramatic one. I was the one, even from like being a little baby, I was the one who was always covered in mud, and so it was a problem. I was a hassle. I was naughty. I was just playing in the mud like a child does and stuff. But I always got that label of being a handful.
Do you still believe it?
I want to say no, but I must because I now use labels and things to validate myself. It's like saying I'm not stupid. I've got this label. I've got this label. I've got anorexia. I've got OCD. I'm not stupid. Yeah. I'm not doing this because I'm stupid. I'm doing this because there's a reason.
Then who believes that you're stupid?
Me.
Yeah.
Even though I say I'm not, I must still believe it because I still need to validate myself.
Yeah. It's like when people still have the programs in their head, all the negative stuff in the abnormal situations. Yeah. Do you think it's normal to say nasty things to yourself? Do you think it's normal to say nasty things to a child? And yet that side of us, we don't want to know that we're brought up in evil and we take it in. And so when we're brought up in that, do you think that's, would you say that's normal? Well, it's something that we normalise, but it doesn't mean that it's normal. And so we might say to a child, you're being stupid because that's what we learn, but that's nasty. it's a nasty thing, because then the child's going to believe that it's stupid, or when you believe you're taught so, well, you're lazy, you're lazy, you're lazy, and the child's open, then its brain's open to take on things and believe it. Then it's just going to believe I'm lazy. So what's it going to do? It's going to behave in a lazy way because it believes it. And it's like, is that normal? To when you can't make a body, you can't make a human body, you know, without being given a gift that this body makes a body. So there must be something very intelligent about us that we don't know about, but we're taught these things. And then the other thing is that when you're given the label, then you're given something that invalidates you. So it's like now being given, you know, like with depression. So when people get a label, and it's like now we've said it's depression. Oh, thank God for that. I've been validated now. Now you've validated me. You've validated the way that I feel. Now we're going to invalidate you, because we're going to give you something just to shut it up. We're not going to have a look. We're not going to investigate why you've got it. Where did it come from in the abnormal situation? We're going to normalise this label and say, yeah, it's depression. So what we're going to do, we'll give you something to shut it up.
Well, I think that mirrors my experience, because, like I say, when I was being treated at the beginning with depression and this, that, and other, I was like, no, I'm just stupid. I don't even know why I'm seeing doctors and a psychiatrist, because, you know, I'd even have that conversation with her. I'm wasting your time because I'm just stupid. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm just stupid. And even, like I say, when I was in the eating disorder service, yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm under eating disorder service, but why? Because I'm just being stupid. I'm just being dramatic. I'm just being whatever word I gave.
So just capturing that word again a little bit, that being stupid. Isn't that because you learn as well? If you say that you're just stupid, you don't have to look at why either.
No. Yeah.
You can then learn that invalidation of yourself to say, if I'm just stupid, I don't have to talk to you about what happened to me when I was a child, because you avoided that.
Yeah.
Like
no, if I bought into that, because it gave me answers by just being stupid, being over dramatic, being naughty, or being a drama queen, it meant that I could stop thinking. I didn't have to think anymore about why I was behaving like that, why I was aggressive to some people, why I couldn't stand the thought of breathing, why I didn't like being around people.
Then can you see just from that how the people that you grew up with were doing exactly the same as you? And it became abnormal because it's like you were the normal reaction to an abnormal situation. Then people's reaction was to ignore themselves and use that same word stupid, passing it on. For, you know, so then what were you gardening? Another abnormal situation. Do you see what I mean? And then the next generation would act normally to an abnormal situation and create another abnormal situation. And then the next generation would react normally from a healthy place. And then they would eventually create that, because when you know, so one study was that if you go into the asylum, it was called then, or a place of mental illness, you're more likely to come out with a mental illness. So that isn't that what's happening generation after generation, because we're not looking at it. We're not looking at it and saying your reaction's normal, but would you like to react to that in a different way, in a way, or not react to it in that way anymore? Would you like to resolve it? But what you learn is to not resolve it. You learn that, well, the label helps me to feel normal.
Yeah.
In a different sense.
Even though it was unpleasant, it stopped me thinking about why I was like that, and stopped me exploring that.
Yes.
Just accepting I'm stupid. And like I say, even through my mental illness treatment, it was like, stupid, I don't understand why I'm here. And two things while you've been talking have just sprung into my mind that it's triggered. One of the things is when I first went under the eating disorder service, I'd lost weight and was fitted the criteria for anorexia nervosa. So they said I had that. So they said I had that. Those symptoms, that criteria, what I met, got worse while I was under that service because I learned how to be better at it. From other patients, I picked up tips and helpful tips and things on how to be a better anorexic.
Healthy.
Yeah, I was going to say healthy because it was seen as the right thing to do. But also from the staff and the way the treatment was, up until then I never got weighed. So I started weighing myself, I started weighing my food, I started counting calories, I started doing this and because I had to fill in food diaries and I had to get weighed every week and I had to have my blood tests every week. So I became a better anorexic or better at it or more skilled at it and got worse when I was in that service because I became what they told me. I became better at being anorexic because they told me I had anorexia nervosa.
And you started weighing food and started being more.
And it was like, you're telling me I'm this, and because of my compliance and because I want to be, oh, you must do better at school, right? I'll be blooming good at this. And so I did. I went with the eating disorder service, I went from 7 stone to 4 stone in a couple of months. I was successful at it. But yet, I still didn't want to admit that I had a problem because I understood, or there was a backstory that I didn't want to face. So it was just, I'm stupid. And I can remember once my psychiatrist sitting down with me and after I'd been for multiple times just saying, I don't know why you see me because I'm just stupid. She got the DSM out, showed me all these pages, printed them out and said, you read that, you are not stupid, there is something wrong with you. And yes, that validated me, as in, oh, right, okay. She says, I'm not stupid, there is something wrong with me.
Yes.
But then I took on, there is something wrong with me. So for
You're
years,
defective.
It was, I'm defective. There's something wrong with me. Either give me a pill, give me something to make me better, to make me different.
So that can be the conflict of interest then, can't it? That if somebody validates you and says, yes, there's something wrong with you, like the person with depression or, you know, an eating disorder, yes, there's something wrong with you, we're going to validate that, then it's confusing then if in this, you know, health service, then you're told you're acting normally to an abnormal situation. And then someone's validating you, saying you're abnormal. And so that's how you believe that you're abnormal. You believe the things that you're told physically and mentally, that your cells are abnormal, your body's abnormal, you're abnormal. Do you see what I mean? When we look at things, as an example, I was watching a nature program, and the story that the narrator was telling was negative, and it was from his mind. They were saying, oh, look, they're in danger now, or they're doing this, and instead of seeing it in a different way, and they didn't see it in a way where, you know, that's what they do, so that's their way of life, and it's almost like this negative story of, you know, they're on the brink, they're on the edge of all of this lot, but they weren't. And so it's that we have these stories that we tell ourselves that nature is in wildlife, and it's like, well, why are we any different? Because we have stories of defection. We're always defect. And it's like, well, no, we're not. We're reacting to the defect just the same as you know, an animal. It's like, you know, why are we, you know, it's like having an animal. You have an animal and take it so far away from itself because you're being taken away. So we tend to do to others what's being taught to us. It's like, oh, they're all right. Oh, I love them. I love horses, me. You know, I really love horses. But when I ride them, I whip them and I put things in the mouth. Imagine having something in your mouth all day. When you look at it, it's like, they look like a slave. Something on your back all the time. They look like a slave. Oh, look at these things, but we're making money. We make money off everything. Look at these animals and they're cold, you know. They're cold. So what we're going to do is we're going to buy little coats for them. How do you know they're cold? Do you see what I mean? And it's that we assume in our stories, and we project our stories onto somebody else. And we think it's normal because everybody does it. It's normal. It's like, imagine you had fur all over your body and somebody decided to put some on, you're going to be so uncomfortable and itchy. Do you know what I mean? Not everybody wants to wear a hat on their head. So it's like, but we don't empathize and say, what is what I'm doing like for that person? What is that like? Having a sense of empathy. What is that like for that animal? What is that like for that child? What is that like? We don't, because we're so in the stories that we have that we're normal or that we're defective. We barely touch who we are anymore. So when you see your story and you see, I had a story that I was stupid, do you really believe that you were stupid because you invalidated yourself? Or did you have a reason for it?
I had a reason for it, but I didn't know it because I just did as what I was told and took that on. And not even in my family, and even through the initial treatment that I had for my mental health problems, none of it were about exploring the abnormal. It were all that I was abnormal, there was something wrong with me, I was naughty, I was stupid, or I had this label and I had this diagnosis, and when it wasn't working, the treatment that they said, it was like I wasn't responding right to the treatment that I should have. There was
So
something
you were
wrong
abnormal
with
again.
me.
Yeah. Or
So
you're not
I've
being
always,
compliant.
Nobody wanted to take on well, actually you're normal, but there's something abnormal that you've experienced that's going on. That wasn't even thought about. Nobody. It was easier for my family, for those around me, for the health professionals that I saw to say, well, actually, no, it's you that's abnormal. And if you're the problem, then we just have to focus on that. We can all carry on as normal and we're not affected. Whereas psychotherapy is looking at my normal reactions, but what was the abnormal around me? And a completely different way of working.
But it can be, so you can see the conflict then in the two worlds, really. One world is to, it's like we become fickle sometimes. So, like I say, if somebody introduced you to somebody, but we can forget certain things depending on what we're shown. So, for instance, when you're shown about the world of labels and the made up labels, and they're all made up, because when people say to me, no, it's the higher ups now, it's like my first thought is, who are you speaking to? You're either speaking to the creator or Jesus. But I don't know any higher ups other than that. Everybody else is just human. Not just in that sense, but so everybody else to me is human. So these labels that we use, even the one that I've got, is just a label. It is not, but behind all labels is your humanness, as well as what you took to work from, what you've been brought up with. So when people use that, if you say like, well, somebody that has a label of a professional or something like that, then the label sticks. So when you're taught what to see, you will still look at that label and you won't look beyond it so much. How many people after COVID, went back and still believe in that, despite all the information being out there, that we don't bother to look at? The information being out there of the damage that it did. How much more? And there's when children are giving vaccinations years ago, now they don't have them. So what's happened to it? Now they have other vaccinations. After what happened with that in this world of science, why do you go back and still believe those people that will say, now you need a vaccination for this? After that, after what people found out then about COVID, why do we just go back to believing the same people again and doing that? Because we don't see with our eyes. We see with the veil that we put up of what we believe in, that what we've been programmed with. That no, this is right.
And that goes back to what you were saying, that I'd been programmed from an early age, was my responses were naughty, stupid, overreacting, being dramatic, a drama queen. And also, when you spoke about why we go back to people that have maybe lied to us or damaged us, and it's like, I always also brought up with the mentality: don't rock the boat, don't cause a fuss, just, oh, be careful what you say. And it was like, right, so I'll just go along with what everybody else is saying, and then it's not going to upset anybody.
And it's that way then people say you're in the real world, come to the real world. It's like, well, it can't be the real world, because why does it keep changing? The only world that's real is nature, because it more or less stays the same. So then we can't be in the real world. We're just in our thoughts of many beliefs. One minute you believe this, one minute people believed it's all in your head. It is, yeah, but ultimately it's not real. And it's like, it's not real, but okay, you've got that, it's not real, it's all in your head. And what are you going to do about to fix the head then? Well, we're not going to do anything. Well, you just said it's all in the head. So it's like, one minute it's like this, and next minute it's like that. So it's like a conflict of information constantly.
Yeah. I do think there is a conflict with everything. There's all this reach out, don't struggle on your own. If you've got issues, talk about it. Well, when you do, you're told to shut up, or there isn't anything, there is nobody for you to listen to, or you're just being stupid, or, with mental illness, how some people want to trivialise it or dismiss it or something or like that. And it's like, well, you're really contradictory, because you're saying stuff, but you don't follow it through, or you don't really mean it, or it's lip service. Yes.
Do you have an example of that?
Just one that's come to my mind when I was thinking about it is like, since I was a young age, I've experienced suicidal thoughts daily. I didn't even, long before I even knew what they were. And at various points in my life, they've been louder and more frequent. Sometimes I act on them, sometimes I haven't, and this, that, and other. But I grew up, and I never told anybody about that, because I grew up in a family and in a community that didn't really identify with mental illness, accept it, or we didn't talk about feelings and that kind of thing. The only thing that I can ever remember is, like, if somebody was on the news, or it was in the local community where a road had been shut because somebody was on a bridge or something, it was like, oh, well, how selfish. What about their kids? Or what about them trying to get to work? It wasn't, it was seen as a selfish act. And I think, and it, again, just that's coming to my mind now, I remember that the little contact I did have with the church, they said it was selfish and that you would be punished by God.
How did they know that?
I don't know, but as a child, you look at those around you, and the adults or the people in authority, and you think that they know better than you. So I took all and absorbed all that on.
Yeah, and to say that as well is like, God's this punisher, then it's not punishing. It doesn't look to me like it's punishing anyone. Do you know what I mean? Because if you think about, we're punishing people, God's not doing that, or the creator, or whatever you want to, the universe, or whatever you want to say, that's an energy field. So if you look at the books that you read, so say like some of the books have been changed and doctored. So, but one of the things that Jesus said is, watch for sheep in wolves' clothing. That when Jesus was preaching to people, he was telling everybody, he didn't tell everybody to go to church. He told them to look inside of themselves. So, and if you look at the laws of the universe, look at the law of gravity, do you see what I mean? It's like, where did he write these laws down that we have to comply with what another man says? Why, do you see what I mean? Must have got to show that all of these kind of things. When did that? In all of nature, there's male and female in all of nature, which is equal. all of nature is equal, that it's male and female. So then how come in that it's like females are under that? If you're black, you're under that. Doesn't say any of that. It doesn't say any of those things. So how do you know when somebody's reading the book and it turned to page? Do you see what I mean? When you're told to turn to page, when I were asking questions about the Bible and what it was saying, don't read that. Don't read that. I asked a clergyman, you know, when I was reading it, and it said that you know, that there would be a rainbow in the sky, which was called an arrow, that the rainbow in the sky was a promise from the Creator that he would never kill mankind like that in Noah again. So Noah built the ark and wipe everybody out and start again, that he would never do that and create a flood. And so answer me this question, because in that year it was a bad flood and people had died. So how come that this says that and it's done that? And we said, don't read that, read the New Testament. There's no answers. There's no answers because some of it doesn't make sense. So in the very thing that it's saying that I've heard the whole of my life from films and from the things that I've read, yeah, which includes the Bible and all these things, you don't listen to a human, you listen to the inside of yourself. Isn't it proven, to me anyway, and to you, that every time you worked on putting stuff in from the external world, as it worked, all the teachings throughout your life, when you put food in, medicine, when you've eaten it, did it work? When you put stuff in from the external world into your body to shut it up, did it work?
Yeah, it shut it off.
It shut it up, did it? Did it help make you healthy?
No.
So where are your feelings? They're inside. Where are your thoughts? They're inside. So doesn't it make sense? That to me is like going outside looking for your car keys and someone saying, where did you have them? In my house. Why then are we outside? Look outside and putting more things in your house. How are you going to find your car keys if we keep doing that? Everything that was taught that I've read said your relationship with the Creator is your personal relationship. So shouldn't you then go inside? I ain't saying that. I'm not saying that. That's what these books are saying. They're all saying you need to go inside of yourself and ask the questions inside of yourself. Then none of the books say you need to ask another man. You need to ask another woman. You need to go to this building and ask this person what page to read. You need to read this book. None of it said that. It all said you need to go inside of yourself. It's within. So I don't understand. I don't understand anything other than that. Do you? Because if you do, please explain it to me.
No. And like I say, through therapy, it's a completely different way of thinking to what my surroundings are and the support that I had from the health service. It's all about not looking within, but looking within briefly on the surface level and giving it a label and then trying to rectify it without looking at what's causing it or what's inside there or those kind of things.
I guess ultimately what's just popped into my head, and I say things very crudely, and I say to people like it's like having an emotional and psychological poo. Your trauma's going to hurt on the way out, but you'll feel better afterwards. It might scratch a bit. Do you see what I mean? These things are going to hurt on the way out, because that's what the body does? It takes in stuff and it lets it go. But there are some things that stick. Do you see what I mean? That you just need to work on to let go of. But it doesn't make sense then to keep feeding it and feeding it, because what happens when you keep feeding the body? It gets bigger and bigger. When you keep masking it, it gets bigger and bigger. And the problem gets bigger and bigger. Yeah, That's what your body literally shows you what it does. This is the truth teller, and this in here is a liar.
Yeah.
Because of what you've been taught. So it's that if you keep putting stuff in, then doesn't it just get bigger and bigger?
It reminded me of a day I thought about what you were saying, and I did have to like laugh at myself and question myself, because you were saying like about, you know, how it's your brain that tells you what you see, and what you've just said, and about it's very, I don't like looking in the mirror, which I've talked about before, but I looked in the mirror and I thought like, or like, my legs aren't as bad as what I think. They're all right. They're not
Exactly what
and
you
then
think.
and then a couple of hours later, while I were getting undressed for bed, I caught a glimpse of my leg and I'm like, oh, it's massive, it's horrible. And it's like, when it's my same leg as it were a couple of hours ago, my leg hasn't changed. It's just how I'm thinking about my leg and how I'm seeing my leg, where it's disgusting, it's too big, I'd want to chop bits off it, and it's too fat, and this, that, and other. But yeah, and not that long before it, I was like, well, it's not that big. It could do with being a bit toned and this, that, and other. But it was like seeing two different things, but my leg hadn't changed.
And it kind of brings it back really to you know, where you said when those that commit suicide, that it's wrong to do that, or they're going to get punished to do that. It's like this is called the hell consciousness. So if you're feeling in hell, you know, then where's the punishment? The people that don't want to be here anymore because they're feeling so punished that they can't bear it anymore. So ultimately, you know, when somebody says you have to do that, or look at them, they're selfish because you're taught not to do yourself. If you do yourself, then you know, then you stop doing other people, what other people want, what other people say, what other people, and you start to look inside yourself. That's doing yourself. To, you know, if you think that if this stuff isn't working, and it doesn't look to be, because it shows that we're getting sicker and sicker, then you've got to ask. In it time, I looked inside and had a look and cleaned up in there, because when you sit silent in your own mind, because I can't bear all the thoughts. It's like that's all the junk you've taken in from the external world. So that must tell you how bad it is out there. In it time to go in. It's like having squatters.
Yeah.
In it time to go in and occupy it yourself so you can get the squatters out. Or are you just going to continue to do things to distract you from going in to seeing the mess? Because the mess in here, where do you think it came from? It come from out there in that world. So that's why it's called a normal reaction to an abnormal situation. Because you're living in an abnormal world that's normalised it, that's normalised the abnormalities, that's normalised, because who benefits from it? You have to ask the question, who is making money off of this machine being abnormal? You know, like we're doing all these things and we're constantly fighting these things. We'll fight against cancer. We'll fight about all these things. And it's like, then how did it get there in the first place? Is there already a cure? Why are we still going around the same? We go around the same circle. It's like, I'll vote for these this time and I'll vote for them this time. Why? Because they told me something. And I'll go back and believe them time and time and time again. Aren't we just doing the same things, you know, and you're just getting the same result? That's what the saying insanity is.
Yeah.
You do the same things, you go back and believe the same people doing the same things that are going to do this for you and that for you and that for you. And it's like, could I do it for myself? Shall I do the same?
Yeah. Makes total sense.
Yeah, but it's not doing the self. And that's why Freud said we're children running around in adults' bodies. And the children having to survive us have to be the adults running around in children's bodies. Because we're constantly believing that somebody else is going to help us, somebody else is going to do something. So we don't be selfish and do the self. I think selfish, doing yourself is a good thing. I don't mean that, I mean suicide is a good thing, but doing yourself,
focusing on
yourself is a good thing, not focusing externally. And I guess that's why I became a therapist.
I'm glad you did.
Thank you.
Thank
Can
you.
we